Welcome back to the Shine Within podcast. Jordanna Nativ is a former corporate marketing executive turned virtual fitness coach, specializing in helping women over 40 build their best bodies. After overcoming her own struggles with food and fitness, she quit her job, sold her home, and moved cities to start her dream business. Jordana combines eating psychology, nutrition, and exercise to create sustainable, guilt-free fitness plans for women through her Get Sculpted community. Passionate about empowering women, Jordana believes it's never too late to rewrite your story and achieve your fitness goals. I agree. Yes, I need to be telling myself
Woo!
that.
It's like a daily affirmation, right?
Daily affirmation, yes. But I kind of go with the seasons and however my body is feeling. So in the summertime, I notice I'm a little bit more active and then I'll go outdoors and do like extensive hikes. But this season, I'm just like, Qigong is perfect for me right now.
Yeah. Slow, mindful, little relaxing.
Relaxing, breathing while I'm doing it.
Yeah,
So, yes, I'm very excited to talk to you. And you actually mentioned that the biggest project that we'll ever work on is ourselves. And I agree. I agree. This is something I say as well. Can you actually go ahead and share what led you to realize this and how do you go ahead and change your own relationship with food?
sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Gina. It's such a pleasure to be on the podcast with you. Thank you. And thank you for that beautiful introduction as well. The reason why I say we're always a work in progress, you're never reaching a final destination. And I think a misconception that so many of us have, especially around the fitness world, we're trying to change our body or have a destination. Like there's like an end point to all of a sudden you're healthy and then that's it. You just stop having to do whatever you do. And the reason why I say the biggest project you'll ever work on is you is because it is a never ending project. It is something you just get to keep evolving and stepping into the next phase and stage of who you are or who you're becoming. And I think that's a really beautiful way to not just look at our lives, but also our fitness journeys. And that helps us step out of these, toxic beliefs and thoughts around the dieting culture, but also these limiting beliefs that we have around ourselves when we think that we're not good enough or we're not strong enough or willful enough to be able to be successful. So if we start to think of it more as a journey, you can enjoy the ride along the way, which is actually your life. And that's something one of my clients said back to me that she learned in our work together. And I just love to, bring that forward.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, as a diet culture, I remember I think I tried every fad diet out there. And
What did you
those
try, Gina? What did you try?
oh my
I love
gosh,
to hear.
the fad diets. What is it? Eat some graham crackers with some tuna. I don't even know if it's
Okay.
graham crackers. I think it was just saltine crackers, not graham crackers. That must be very disgusting. Graham crackers and tuna. Saltine crackers and tuna, and then lots of water, and then some lettuce. And then at the end, guess what? You get to have one scoop of ice cream.
Oh my gosh, I have not heard of that.
It was so long ago. I must be missing out some of the ingredients and some of the items that they had suggested on there, but I really felt like I was eating like 3 bites all day, plus the ice cream. Oh, it was so interesting and so weird. Like, I tried, I used to work for Jenny Craig like for many years, for almost 10 years, and that's what I have a background in is weight loss consulting, but with their program. And I had multiple clients coming in, losing weight, leaving, coming back, going back,
Mhm.
yo,
On that
yo,
roller
yo.
coaster. Yeah.
And so I get it. And it's like, what is going on? What is the solution? Now, how
Mhm.
did your own personal journey with food and fitness influence your decision to quit your corporate job? Because this is big.
It is big.
You sold
So
your home and also you moved to start your dream business. So let's talk
I
about that.
did all in the same year, which is pretty wild. I mean, like I said, I went on this journey myself. I was first the client before I became the coach. And what was really great about that journey is that I lived it. I lived learning how to improve and rewrite my relationship with food, learning how to understand exercise better and figure out what works for my body. Also, rewriting the relationship you have with your own body, right? And like how you perceive yourself and the way that you want to be strong or have certain curves or whatever it is, right, for you. That's what you get to do for yourself. And so that was the journey I went on. It took several years, and then I had this amazing opportunity to do a photo shoot. And I got to step in front of the camera with a professional photographer, submit into being in a magazine and doing some really cool stuff in that realm. And it really lit a fire for me to see myself in this completely different way that most of us don't get to see ourselves, all done up, professional photographer, hair, makeup, all of these things. And I saw all of this hard work I had put into my personal transformation reflected back at me in some of these images. And I was like, wow, this is pretty profound. Like most of the time, we wouldn't invest in ourselves in that way. But this allowed me to kind of capture this moment in time in a way that was just unique for me and reflect it back and keep it so that I could have this like proof of myself that I did this thing and it was pretty transformational. And in that moment, I just had this awakening, like this fire lit within me saying, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I am going to pay this experience forward to other women because the experience that I had learning how to trust myself with food, learning how to work out in the gym and feel strong and empowered by like lifting weights and rebuilding this relationship that I had with myself to feel strong, to feel empowered, to feel confident, regardless of where I was in that journey, the start of that and then the evolution of that, it didn't really matter. And so being able to transition out of the corporate space took some time. I didn't just, snap my fingers and all of a sudden I'm an entrepreneur. But I went back to school and I would study, in my commutes to and from work. I would, take a couple of days off as vacation days and work on a project for the business. And then eventually, I think, like with all people that have a side hustle, there's a tipping point. And at what point is it going to become your full-time gig, if ever? And so for me, my husband is like my biggest number one fan supporter. And he just said, you know what, let's go all in. I said, well, what does all in look like? And we realized that it meant selling our home in order for me to quit my job. And that was a really huge leap of faith. But I figured I can always go back and get another job if this didn't work out. And if I really believed in myself as much as my husband does, then, there's no reason why I wouldn't be successful. So took that leap of faith and we're about 5 years later and Get Sculpted was born. And we work with almost 150 women now between myself and our coaches. So it's pretty incredible.
Oh, congratulations for taking that leap. I swear, like
Thank you.
sometimes it's in our gut, our intuition is just nudging us, like, you gotta do this. And you just feel it there. And then that's when you just go for it. So I commend you for that because it's hard to sometimes get out of our comfort zone because, corporate's
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. I still actually have my corporate job, but I only work there 1 day a week on Thursdays. And that's it. But I've been there 17 years and I'm like, I can't really
Wow.
leave.
I
But
feel that.
because I do massage, so it's very flexible. Like I'm on-call status. But
Yeah.
it's nice because now I have like my own business and I just love helping people. I've always loved helping people, whether it's massage, weight loss consulting, serving in the community. I just love helping. And so I'm so happy you found your passion and you went with it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now, as someone who coaches women over 40, me,
Me
what
too.
unique, what unique challenges do you actually see in this demographic when it comes to fitness, and how do you actually help them overcome these barriers?
Yeah. So I think with women in this demographic, it's really that we are exhausted. We are exhausted. We're tired from hormonal shifts. We're tired from the hustle of the everyday life and the to-do list that we have, the families and all the people we take care of. There's a lot weighing on our mind. And on top of all of that, many of the women that come to work with me and my team, they've been dieting for like 30 years. So at what point are they ready to step off, the 75 hard or maybe the Jenny Craig or the Weight Watchers or all of these, very extreme diets that quote unquote worked for 3, 4 months to get part of the way, but then were so extreme that they couldn't stay there. They couldn't maintain. And so that's what perpetuates this roller coaster, this yo-yoing that seems to happen over and over again for so many women. And what we do is we take them off the dieting roller coaster and we teach you how to eat. We teach you how to train. We teach you how to have flexibility in your life, how to lean into eating more because so many of us know how to diet, but nobody knows how to eat more and maintain that progress. And so really what I find unique is really why I went and became an eating psychology coach is there's a lot of programs out there that take care of the training side of things, like how do you move? There's a lot of programs that take care of the what should I eat? But there was really nothing that I saw that addressed the why do we eat and what is holding us back and some of the mindset elements that tie all of this together. So that's the underpinning of everything. It's kind of like the trifecta, bringing it all together so that you don't just get an amazing plan that fits within your life, you're also able to figure out how to maintain it long after our work is done.
Eating psychology, I love that. Yes, you have to. Why am I going for the bag of cookies instead of the bag of carrots, right?
Yeah, and there's a reason. Like that is part of our relationship with food. And what is so amazing about food is like we need it to be alive. So it's not like it's something that you can cut off cold turkey or wean yourself off of. You need it to survive. And so you have to face your relationship with it at some point. And usually that directs yourself back into who you are, why you are, the things that you've gone through in your life. And part of it is also making peace with that. And so when I look and assess, people's relationships with food, we're often wanting to ditch the guilt first. And so a lot of it is about how to create that guilt-free eating environment and being able to thank yourself for being able to give yourself those coping mechanisms to either keep you safe or to nourish yourself in a way that you needed or could afford, or creating this environment where you're like, okay, I can manage on to the next step. And now it's about learning more deeply, and putting some of those behaviors into your past so that you can learn a new way forward. And so that's what I really like to bring into the coaching relationship.
I love that. Also, emotional eating, we used to actually teach this stuff in Jenny Craig, but I was thinking about it, and back in the day, our ancestors, when there was no food practically, I mean, no one had emotional eating problems. So it's like
Nope.
really kind of getting to the root cause of why you're going towards food if you're stressed or mad, or it's just like an addiction. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
food is like an addiction. I was an alcoholic. I
Absolutely.
actually know what it's like. Where's my alcohol? I need it
You can
now.
relate. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I was just thinking about that. I'm like, wow, what are your thoughts to why people tend to use food as comfort?
hmm I think food has a lot of meaning. We associate so many different parts of our life with food. A lot of it can be good, a lot of it can be negative. So, if you think about, your favorite foods, there's usually an association with that. It could be, maybe that's something you baked with your grandma, or maybe that was something like a ritual, a Saturday morning ritual that you always ate this certain food or had this certain drink. Maybe it was, an after school special that you ended up having this, XYZ treat. All of these, or it could have been built up over time just habitually because of your environment. So you were always taking this certain route home from work, or you were always going to this place at this time, and that's what was there. And so these associations become our habits. And when, we weren't born to be like, oh, I eat, a sleeve of cookies every night, that happens over time, right? And it happens because we either really enjoy that food, it happens because they're super hyper palatable in the way that they are manufactured. Like food today is very, very different than food 50 years ago, even. And then it's also about how those habits are built over time. So the more we do something, the more we reinforce to our brain that that is a pattern we want to repeat. And then those, receptors are like, hey, go and do that, because that gives us pleasure. So in order to break that, we need to understand why we're doing it. We need to understand where that behavior came from. And then we need to start to rewire that into a healthier, more productive behavior over time.
And it can be done. It
It
can
can
be
be
done.
done.
And Jordan is
Mhm.
there to help you with
All the
it.
way, every step.
That's so awesome. Now, you're a mom. How old are your children?
I have one daughter, she's 11, and then I have a fur baby, Bailey, who's
Oh.
3.
Oh, I see my fur babies right over there chilling in the
Oh,
sun.
that's so cute.
But I
I love
have
that.
3 boys, so I know what motherhood is like, and it can be very, very demanding, but it's so rewarding at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, how did your role as a mom influence your fitness journey? And what advice would you go ahead and give to other busy moms looking to prioritize their health?
It's everything. Like being a mom changes your perspective on everything. It changes how much time you have to dedicate to yourself. It changes your perspective on what is important and what's no longer matters. It gives you a point of view around what example you want to set, not just for yourself, but for those around you, and what that means for the generations that come after you. A lot of things that I saw or experienced from parents and grandparents that rubbed off on me, and those are things that I ended up wanting to keep, or wanting to change. And so having the opportunity as a parent and being self-aware enough to say, oh, maybe this behavior isn't serving me, but it's also not serving my child and my family. I have a responsibility to actually make a shift here. And I think becoming a mom was very pivotal in me wanting to make this shift. It was actually a moment in time. My daughter was about 10 months old, and I still hadn't kind of cracked the code on my, being happy in my body, working out, understanding nutrition. I was eating really, really little at the time, just desperately trying to lose this baby weight. And I was getting ready for an event. And I'm sure so many women can relate, going into their closet, not sure what to wear, not really confident that a lot fits, trying on a lot of things, throwing them around, maybe calling yourself bad names, thinking bad thoughts. This was me in that moment. And when I turned around, I was bawling my eyes. I was like, maybe I just won't go. My daughter was sitting there on the floor, just staring up at me, seeing this whole thing happen. And I know at 10 months, like, it was really more of just like this memory maybe, but in that moment for me it was so pivotal, because I was like, I never want her to have that experience about her own body. And so in order for me to be able to prevent that or mitigate it as much as possible, I need to do the work on myself and set a different example. And not very long after that, I got my first coach and I got support, because I didn't know how to do it by myself. I clearly was not being successful. But I do think it's one of the, when you invest in yourself and you take the time to make these changes for yourself, you're really doing your entire family a service.
Yes, I think one-on-one coaching or even group coaching is so significant because same thing happened to me in my early sobriety. I was checking out AA, I was checking out the sponsors, checking out the
Mm-hmm.
12 steps. None of it was good. It wasn't until, I mean, this is okay. So back then, I didn't see any sobriety coaches or any recovery coaches. There was just women's fitness coach, mindset coach. And so, what was awesome is that I got referred to a lady who was a yogi and
Mm-hmm.
also in kickboxing, self-defense, and all this for women only, which it
So
turned me on. I'm
cool.
like, yes, women only, because we don't want guys in there. Just
Nah.
you can't really be yourself. And then she just put out a whole women's mentorship program on
Wow.
women's mindset. I'm like, yes. So I invested in myself, did that whole program, and just continued seeing her and life changer. So I totally believe the one-on-one coaching helps. And,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why it turned me on to start my own thing too. I was like, this is great.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And so your challenge became like your triumph. That's so
Yes.
beautiful.
It did, yeah. I was going to say, so I was hearing you say about setting the example for your daughter, and she was a baby at the time. So maybe you can give me some advice. So I have two of
Mm-hmm.
my own boys, and then I have a stepson. Now, my stepson, I love him. He's my baby too. I never really call him stepson. But he's on the obese side. Now we try to feed him healthy over here, but we can't control what he eats at his mom's house.
Yeah,
You
of
know,
course.
um, but I am so proud of him, and I'm going to tell you why. Is because this child, you know, I when I remarried, I actually met him before I met my husband. So such a wonderful, interesting story. And so I fell in love with him before I fell in love with his dad.
Oh,
But what this child is, he was used to be so small, and I mean he's still cute, don't get me wrong. But then he started just eating, 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 and the only food he liked was chicken. I don't like any processed food, please. Like chicken nuggets, hamburgers, French fries.
mm,
But I am so proud of this little boy because we went to Japantown in San Jose this last weekend and he had his sushi for the first time and he wanted to try it. He's cooking with me with eggs, making like an omelet. and he's wanting to chop the vegetables. He's wanting to participate. Like my other kids, they're like not interested. This one's interested. This one's interested. So it is so good that, we're as moms, we can be the ones to set that example. Like, hey, check out this food. Hey, check out this food. Let's do a variety
Yeah,
of different foods. Let's eat across the rainbow. Let's have different
absolutely.
vegetables. I'm so proud of him. He's eating spinach now. He is eating
Wow.
kale. He's eating broccoli. Like he never ate any of these things. We're trying to get him to be more active with us. But like I
Hmm.
said, I'm just concerned about his weight, but I'm sure he's probably going to go through a growth spurt and lose it as he
Totally.
gets taller. He's only 10. I know I was chubby when I was about 9, 8 years old, and then went into a growth spurt, then lost a lot of weight, and then gained it in high school. And then that's when those fad diets, I was
Kicked
trying those
in.
fad diets. Yeah, yeah. Totally. But yeah, thanks for sharing that though. Now let's talk about the Get Sculpted community. When did you
Sure.
create this and what is it all about?
So I have two other business partners, Marilyn and Tiana, and our dream was really to create an environment where women could actually support one another and create a space where we could work on, being that forefront for women in their 40s and beyond to finally get off the dieting roller coaster. It's about the opportunity to lose weight, get strong while eating guilt free, so that when you are done your work with us, and most of our clients love to stay for us for quite a while, but when you are done, you know how to maintain your physique. You know how to basically have gotten sculpted and then maintain and continue getting strong. So it's a beautiful space. It's about a year and a half old. As I mentioned, we have almost 150 women in our community now, and we are growing strong.
Well, that's so awesome. Now, I was going to go ahead and ask you, what is one piece of advice you would go ahead and give to women who feel that they are too old or too far gone to reach their fitness goals?
Stop that thinking. It is absolutely like we're in 2024, 2025. Like this thinking is so old and outdated. You are not old. You are not far gone. There's never a moment that is too late. There's always a step that you can start whatever, however small. And I do want to tie it back to what you were talking about with your family, because it can start small at home, and it can start with the language that you use, even your perspective on food. And so one of the things that we did at home was we started with sometimes foods and always foods. And so there is no bad food out there. There's just foods that we want to have every day. Just like you said, eat the rainbow, have a great protein source, lean into that, and then really manage the volume of those sometimes foods. So highly palatable processed foods that you might just want to have once in a while as opposed to that. And so I would say, ditch that old thinking. It is outdated. And whoever is listening, if you are listening and you're feeling that, like your mission is to take one step forward, go for that walk once a day, figure out how to use some of the gym equipment, get back out there, look at your food plan and, make one change at a time, because that's how you make the progress forward.
Yeah, baby steps. You don't have to just
Yeah.
go big right away. Just start
No,
little bits, little changes.
going big, big results, big crash. When you make smaller steps, they're more sustainable. You can wrap your head around it. You can integrate it at any point in your life and at anything that's going on in your life. The busier you are, I always like to say that's the best time to start something, because if you can make one or two changes when you're already so busy, when things do slow down, inevitably, I don't know anybody where it ever slows down actually. But if that magical time ever happens, then you know how to dial it up to then really lean into those lifestyle changes. But if life continues to be busy, when are you going to start? If not now, when?
Right. Yes, absolutely. Now,
Mhm.
where can our listeners go ahead and connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me over on Instagram. I love hanging out there at Jordanna Nativ. And you can also listen in on our podcast at Get Sculpted as well.
That's so awesome. I'm going to have to check out your podcast. I'm going to give you a 5-star review.
Woohoo! I love that.
Yes, I didn't know you had a podcast. I mean, I guess you did mention it earlier when we were doing our mic test.
It's It's fairly
Yeah.
new. We're only a couple months in, so maybe I'll have to get some tips from you.
Oh, I'm sure you're going to scale that. And it's going to be a beautiful podcast sharing awesome messages that women need to hear because,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, especially us women who are over 40 years old. It'll
Yes.
be a great podcast to listen to. I just know it. Yeah. So, any upcoming projects or anything else in the future for you, initiatives?
Yeah, we are working on our podcast. As I mentioned, we're only a couple months into that project. And so it's been a really fun thing to just come on. The three of us will just pick a topic and work off of one another and share. It's all about what's going on in the fitness industry, bringing truth to some of the myths that are out there, bringing facts to some of the fiction and the garbage that is out there in the industry, and really helping you sift through all of the what's on Google, what's on ChatGPT, and all of those things, and really simplify the plan so you know exactly what to do and what will work for you, whether you're part of our community or not. It's a great place to start your fitness journey.
Awesome. And any last words you'd like to share?
Just thank you so much for having me. I think any opportunity to share with women and communities out there to start moving, to start drinking water, to get out there and start walking and lifting weights, like it will only benefit you in the long run. It doesn't matter how small you start, just start.
Yes, just start. I love it. Well, thank
Mhm.
you so much, Jordana, for being on my show today.
Thank you for having me.